What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I want to take you through today an Extilior list that I've been playing around with and kind of go through the 10 crew members I have and kind of give you some strategies about this list in general and how I think Extilior should be played. Haven't been playing a ton. Obviously, the game's just in the preview weekend currently, but this is the success I've had. The most success I've had has been with this list. So hopefully you guys can try it out, tweak it yourselves, and tell me what you think about it. So obviously it's based around Extilior, so he's the only melee champion in the game. So we got to have some ways to get aggressive. We want to get involved in the fight, get up close. So that's kind of which way I'm going with this list here. As you can see, I'm pretty much all melee units other than Maximus because I'm a little addicted to Maximus. So let's go through the units here. So first we have the Taurian Guardian, the 4-cost. He has this Guardian type of ability where he and the nearest ally within range of sight of himself are 40% harder to hit. This range is really small, so they have to be in range and line of sight, but the range is super tiny. It's just a little bit past melee range, probably like double Extilior's Sword of Justice range. So it's not super long, but he can essentially caddy somebody, be right next to them, and make them a little bit harder to hit. Which is super nice. They can miss melee attacks, they can miss range attacks. You pretty much just put him next to Extilior and march up the board with those two, try to get close, and they will just obviously protect each other a little bit with this ability, but also Extilior can put Shield of Hope out, as well as his ability to rally, which is giving Shield of Hope when he destroys enemies, or when any enemy is destroyed. Pretty solid stuff there. On the cheaper side, we have a 1-cost Drum Dancer Tali. This is just a 1-cost 2 melee, 5 health, and has the ability to give a melee unit pummel. Pretty obvious why she's in this list, with mostly melee units here, including our captain. Maximus, as I said, I just think is one of the best units in the game. Really nice pinging unit. You can just put him on the outside, let him flank a little bit as your rest of your list pushes up, and he can get in and out of combat, push out a little bit of damage to finish off any stragglers that the melee units aren't finishing. Tipu is a growing unit, so he's an immediate threat that needs to be answered. He's a 4-cost. You put him down, he's got 7 health, he does 3 melee attack, and he just keeps growing. So after his first attack, he'll go to 4 attack and get +1 health, although he'll probably take some damage back at some point. It'll keep him alive a little bit, but mainly you're going to just be able to pound down some cheap units early, and then as he builds, he has to be answered, or he'll be swinging for like 6 or 7 damage, which is pretty huge. The Amplifier Bitshole, I really like this unit in ranged crew lists, but I think he has a pretty good spot here. He essentially is just going to boost our damage by 1, and you know, he's a melee unit himself. It's not the ideal thing for this list. If he had range, I would use him more as a sit back and shoot right behind my melee line, but I still think he's worth it, just to, since we're going to be kind of doing like a phalanx positioning with this type of board, with this type of list. We have mostly melee units. We're going to kind of turtle and have most of our units close together. He fits in really well, and he'll just give you a decent amount of extra damage across the board. Plus, Amplifier Bitshole and Maximus, I think, is one of the best combos in the game. Crankbait, I think, is a must with Extilior. He's a 3-cost unit, but he has he has 9 health, which is insane. It's super tanky for 3. But he has the grappling chain, which is the main reason he's in this list. His attack's only for 1, so he doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but he can move units towards himself, so he can pull Extilior up close to him so he can get closer into combat, or he can pull enemies close to Crankbait, which will be hopefully close to Extilior, so then you can kind of get around and really start smashing up units close like that. So he's really good for positioning with melee-based lists. He can pick apart really annoying range units and bring him into himself, or you can just kind of slingshot your Extilior across the map. Super important. Jailbreak is super good. He's a just 4-cost, 8 health, 2 attack melee unit who immobilizes enemies. So he's really good to just place down behind enemy lines as you're advancing with Extilior. And that's one of the cool things about the melee champ in this game, is that you're going to be pushing forward, so your range of where you can call units in is going to be really in their face. He's one of the best to drop. You drop this on a captain, that captain is then immobilized unless they can kill this unit, so, or they can push it or something. Obviously there's other ways around it, but it makes them answer this. Say we want to lock their captain into a position, or just a key unit into a position. Jailbreak's really good at that. Blindsider Extili is super solid. I've really been enjoying this unit a lot. It's a 2-cost, 2 attack, 6 health, but when you have no Cinder, it gets +2 attack and fast, so it can fly across the map. Fast is super strong, and 4 melee attack for 2 is really great. With Extilior's abilities of Shield of Hope and Sword of Justice being 1 and 2, it's kind of easy to get down to no Cinder if you need to, and then that lets you essentially just get this unit into combat quick. Toxoid's pretty annoying. He's an airborne, so he can go right through different terrain, and he has poison. So any super, healthy crew, poison will just drop them down to 1 health, which is really solid. So then you can just ping them apart with Maximus or one of your, Amplifier Bitshole or Crankbait, one of your weaker attack units. You can just ping that unit down after Toxoid hits them. So he's a good answer for really healthy, giant units that the opponent has, and he can just ping them down, and he could do a total of, it's a 10 health unit, and he hits it for, just 1. He's going to drop it all the way down to 1 health. So he's going to deal 9 damage in 1 attack, which can be pretty insane. So he's not really there for finishing, just for setting it up, and he also restores 1 health at the end of the turn, which is relatively annoying. He's a pretty annoying unit to fight against, so I've enjoyed him in this list. The list comes together with the Quetzali. It's whenever an ally in range has depleted movement, refresh it. So essentially it lets your units move twice. I think in the gameplay that I'm going to show after this, I actually misplayed this once or twice by playing this unit after I moved my captain. So there is a little bit to learn here. You have to have this unit on the board, and then it has a giant dome. It's kind of similar to the defense dome. So it has this giant aura around it, and when your units are inside of that, when they finish their movement in that dome, they instantly refresh their movement. In a melee heavy list, this is the breadwinner right here. This is what it's all about. You need to be able to get into combat quick. So a lot of times Extilior doesn't have a whole lot of movement, or someone else doesn't have a ton of range to get up into combat. Well, you can, for 5 units a turn, it's literally 5 remaining this turn, you can double their speed before they attack, which is crazy. But also is whenever an ally in range has depleted movement. So another cool thing you can do is actually run up to an enemy who's within this circle, smack somebody, and then kind of like Maximus, dip back out, because you'll have finished your movement there. You can attack somebody, it'll replenish your movement, and then you can dip back out. It's like just a super unique crew member, and he can just set up some insane plays. So definitely try this out if you're playing melee focused list. I think it's a little bit underrated right now. Super solid card. So this is a lot different than the other list I've been playing around with. It's very melee heavy. Takes a lot of maneuvering. Some good movement assists are really solid. Some ship assists that are just help you pull enemies closer to you or pull your own units. They are really good for this list. And since we're going to be a little cinder starved, we don't really have any any way to build up any cinder or anything like that. And some of our units most of them are relatively cheap, but they're mostly middle cost units. But a lot of them have abilities. Like you're going to want to cast Shield of Hope every turn if you can. Battle Frenzy's really solid. Grappling Crouch is really good. And the rest aren't too expensive. So I still think Cinder Infusion is solid just to start off in the game with. But mainly the pulls are really solid. Giving an ally invulnerable is probably the best ship assist you can get. Once you get one of your heavy hitters up in their face, say like Torian or Jailbreak or anyone like that, giving them invulnerable for the turn, causing them to just be able to stick for sure, so they can be another problem in the opposing enemy's face the next turn, is super important. So try the list out, guys. See what you think. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay that I'm going to show right after this. Get excited for launch. We're not that far away for Moonbreaker launch. And if you like the video, stay tuned to this channel. There'll be plenty more where this comes from.